Hello friends, my name is Anita Sharma and I am an English lecturer. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Learn Literature. Friends, in this video I will talk about Venus and Adonis. Venus and Adonis, which is a long narrative poem of William Shakespeare. It published with The Rape of Lucrece. They both published simultaneously in 1592 and in 1593. Friends, these were the results of the outbreak of plague in London, which occurred in 1592. Well, I'll talk about it later. Now let's see this poem. My First Year of Invention. Shakespeare called this poem My First Year of Invention because it was the first published work of William Shakespeare. Venus is a Roman goddess of love, beauty and sex. Friends, Shakespeare took the concept of Venus, Roman goddess, from Ovid's Metamorphoses. Ovid, who was a Roman poet. Ovid with Horace and Virgil. These three poets were very popular in Latin literature. So he took the concept from Ovid's Metamorphoses. Adonis is a young, handsome boy, wants to go to hunting. In this poem, Adonis wants to go to hunting. It is a long narrative poem. Friends, here narrative poem means the story which any speaker or any narrator narrates. There is no other speaker in that poem. Narrates means to tell the story. Narrative poems are generally larger than other poems. They have plot, characters, but they doesn't require any rhyming pattern. Narrative poems have their beginning, middle and their end. So this is the concept of narrative poem. I will make another video related to narrative poems. It was published in 1592 at the outbreak of plague by Richard Field. As I told you, that Shakespeare passed his time writing the poetry section when in 1592 theatres were closed during the plague. Once again plague broke out, and I told you in my last video that when Shakespeare was born in 1564, the plague broke out at that time also. And once again in 1592 and another in 1665 also. That I will tell you later. It contains 199 stanzas of 6 lines. How 6 lines are formed? 1 quatrain and 1 couplet. Quatrain means 4 lines. Quatrain means 4 lines and couplet means 2 lines. Couplet means pair of 2 lines. This is the pattern of Shakespeare. How he wrote the sonnets. Using quatrain and couplet. So again, this is important point. It is a pastoral poem. Again, pastoral word. Pastoral means a real simple country life. Pastoral means shepherds, country, forests. So if the setting is related to the forest, shepherds, country, simple country life, then we call it pastoral poem. In this poem, Adonis is going to the forest to hunt. So it is related to As You Like It and Midsummer Night's Dream, because in As You Like It, Forest of Arden is given. The whole setting, most of the setting is from the Forest of Arden. And in like Midsummer Night's Dream, the most of this setting was in forest also. So this poem is related to As You Like It, Midsummer Night's Dream, and one more play, Romeo and Juliet. So these are the important points. It has discourse on nature of love and observations of nature. In this whole poem, Venus is insisting Adonis to make love with her. So in this poem, Venus is giving speeches about love. It is dedicated to Henry Wriothesley, patron of Shakespeare. Friends, I told you in my last video about Henry Wriothesley. Henry Wriothesley was the patron of Shakespeare. Now, what is the patron? Patron means the person who gives economic support to any writer or any artist. Henry Wriothesley gave support to Shakespeare and other writers also. He gave financial support. So he dedicated it to Henry Wriothesley. Henry Wriothesley was described in his sonnets also. Shakespeare dedicated his 127 sonnets to Henry Wriothesley as fair youth. Now Venus is symbolized as sensuous lady. In this poem, Venus is again and again trying and persuading Adonis to make love with her and to have sex with her. So in this poem, Venus is shown as a sensuous lady. Now I will tell you a short summary of this poem. What happens in this poem? There is one handsome guy, Adonis, and Venus, who was a Roman goddess. Venus, after seeing Adonis, she becomes fascinated with him and she came down to earth, meet him and insisted him to make love with her. But Adonis was not interested for anything. He only wants to go for hunting. Now Venus had a premonition. Venus had a premonition that if Adonis will go for hunting, he might be killed by a wild boar. So she insisted and she urged him not to go for hunting. But Adonis scolded him and said that you are very sensuous and you are very selfish. At this, Venus becomes very sad. She pretended that she becomes faint. Now Adonis became very afraid and he gave kiss to her. When again Venus insisted him to give another kiss and Adonis gave another kiss very reluctantly. After this, Adonis went for the hunting and Venus went. In the next morning, Venus found Adonis' body. As she had premonition that if he will go to hunting, he might be killed by a wild boar. So that becomes the reality. Now Adonis was laying dead and Venus, seeing him, became devastated. Venus, seeing the blood of Adonis was flowing there and a flower came out from the blood and the flower was white and purple. Venus took that flower and touched it with her breast. She felt the smell of Adonis' body from that flower. And very sadly, she went to her home, Paphos. So that's the short summary of this poem. Now friends, I will tell you some important lines of this poem which are very important that can come in your exam. So write down these important lines. You can take screenshot of that and you can pause my video and you can write down in your notebook. These lines can come in your exam whether you are preparing for NET exam, whether you are preparing for any TGT or PGT of any state level. So the first line is affection is like a call. Affection is like a call that must be cooled. That must be cooled. Else suffered. It will set the heart on fire. It will set the heart on fire. So this is the important line. Now the next line is if any love you owe me. If any love you owe me, measure my strangeness with my unripe years. With my unripe years. Before I know myself, seek not to know me. This line is said by Adonis. Here he said himself unripe years because he was not an adult, he was not so experienced, he was a handsome boy, so he called that unripe years. Now the next important line is, I hope that you have taken screenshot or you have note down in your notebook. Now the next important line is, grace on my lips, and if those hills be dry, strail over where the pleasant fountain lies. It must be understood that this line is said by Venus. Now the next important line is, and one sweet kiss shall pay this countless debt. And the last important, lust like a glutton dies. Friends, these are the important lines of this poem, and I have told you the summary of this poem also. Now 2 or 3 important points of this poem is that this poem published 5 years before Christopher Marlowe's Hero and Leander came. Hero and Leander and Venus and Adonis, these both poems have the same topic, same theme, because that poem was also inspired by Ovid's Metamorphoses. So this is again the important point. Venus and Adonis and Hero and Leander of Christopher Marlowe have same theme. Now the next important point is that Geoffrey Chaucer wrote Troilus and Cresside, and in that work he showed Cresside as a treacherous lady, as a disloyal lady. But when he understood his mistake, he wrote Legend of Good Women, and in that he showed the importance of women and he showed the great women. As same like that, Shakespeare wrote Venus and Adonis, and in that he showed Venus as a sensuous lady. But after that he wrote Rape of Lucrece, and in that he showed Lucrece as a pure lady, as a chaste lady. So these are the same theme in Shakespeare and Chaucer's poem. Friends, I told you each and every detail of this poem. So if you want more knowledge, you can go through all my videos. Till then, keep learning, keep watching. Thank you.